By popular demand, though I'm almost certain it's probably been one guy messaging me over and over and over again to review this segment. Now out of respect, I won't say who it is, but you know who you are. And I'm not reading any fan fictions either. I like my fictions original, thank you. Anyways, this is a review of the holiday episode of Dexter's Laboratory called Dexter's vs. Santa Claus. Since it's the holidays, and I happen to be the biggest fan of Dexter's Laboratory, which I'll keep calling Laboratory instead of Laboratory since that's how the character pronounces it, I figure it was worth revisiting this show. This is also regarded by fans to be the worst episode in the show's run. I find this interesting because as a kid seeing this episode for the first time, I didn't remember it being that bad. But I never found it that good either. All I remember about this episode was how weird it was. And it wasn't something I could pinpoint either. With episodes like The Dream Machine, where Dexter travels into his own dreams, you know exactly what's so strange about it. As a kid, I could never do the same for this one, especially since it played itself normally, despite some strange stuff going on. Hopefully, I can understand its strangeness and analyze it for you, the viewer, who watches my stuff to see me analyze cartoons. Our short starts with Dee Dee invading Dexter's lab. No surprise there. However, she's using Dexter's computer to write a letter to Santa Claus. Dexter rips off the Wizard of Oz to tell her there's no Santa Claus. Again, no surprise there. Dexter's a scientist. Of course he's the kid who'd believe there isn't a Santa Claus. However, what does suck is that he explains this to Dee Dee through a pretty lame rap song. Dad dressed up in a Santa get-up, and then he put the car up on the rooftop. Seriously, I can imagine this rap being intentionally bad, but it's still pretty bad regardless of it being self-aware. But the big thing that people hate about this episode is the moment when Dexter encounters Santa Claus, which is essentially how he beats the crap out of this guy while persistently believing it's his father. Up to a point where the evidence clearly shows that this can't be his dad or his mother dressed up as a reindeer. Yeah, the kid who can build rockets believes his father turned the family car into a flying sleigh. However, what most critics have pointed out to this being a flaw in the episode, almost like the creators have forgotten what Dexter's character was, I kinda disagree with this, and I think they had the right idea with mediocre execution. In actuality, scientists are prone to being weak to confirmation bias. This is when research is done, but the presenting evidence disproves their theory, but the scientists become so blinded that they see it the other way around. This isn't just a quirky character trait, but a believable thing that happens in real life. We've seen scientists lose their titles because they tried to justify faulty data. In a sense, this is what happens in the episode. Dexter is so fixated on proving his sister wrong that when he does encounter Santa Claus, he's so diluted towards his theory. I highly doubt this wasn't unintentional, seeing that the episode was directed by the show's creator, Genndy Tartakovsky. If anybody should know how the character would think, it would have to be the guy who created the show. Personally, it's still a well-made show with memorable characters and animation. If this is the worst episode, then it proves how good the show is in other aspects that, on a whole, makes a mediocre affair at best. Yeah, it's not great, but it's clearly better than everything done after Genndy and crew left the show. Now that I am an adult, I can finally see what's so weird about this episode, and that's its approach to being a Christmas special. Up to this point, I grew up seeing Christmas specials to animated shows where the non-believer suddenly grows to learn the truth and everything is hokey dokey. However, it's never gotten to the point where the character kicks Santa's ass, shaving him, and ripping the antlers off of one of his reindeers. While I admit that this could have been executed better, I just found myself so ambivalent that it challenged my perception of Christmas specials, much like Christmas Vacation. Of course it would be years later, when I discovered the South Park pilot where Santa and Jesus get into a fight, but regardless for a show on Cartoon Network aimed for kids, it's different. I also remember how Santa was only limited to one phrase. Ho ho ho! Ho 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 ho! Ho 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 ho! Ho ho! Ho ho! Ho ho ho! Ho ho ho! Ho 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 ho! Ho ho ho! Ho ho ho! It's funny, as a kid I only imagined Santa's vocabulary to be comprised of 3 phrases. Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, and what would you like for Christmas? So I find it funny that they're able to make this gag work, especially when the guy has to tolerate Dexter's shenanigans. On a whole, if you're looking for a mean-spirited holiday special for a well-animated show in the 90s, then Dexter's vs. Santa Claus might be worth a watch, but it might not change anything for you. You can pass it, especially with the cringe-inducing moments like Dexter rapping or how completely oblivious he is. However, if you're like me, who loved watching the show for years, it might be worth revisiting to see what worked and see what doesn't. In my book, its mild strangeness is worth seeing again, but on a whole, it's not spectacular.